Session resumed. Senator Osmeña.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me address some questions to Ms. Deguito. Ms. Deguito, there's some standard questions that we have for you. These are the processes of opening up accounts. Does the branch manager initial the documents that are submitted by the new depositor?
Sir, I'm sorry, but I invoke my right to self-incrimination, but rather, may I request the honorable people here to just...
How would you incriminate yourself by responding to a process question?
But there is a pending case.
Sir, there is a
If I
pending...
ask you if you carry a driver's license with you, would that be a violation of your rights?
As Your Honor, as mentioned earlier, the AMLC has already filed a case against me. It has already a docket number, so I invoking my right to remain silent on that. Instead, if I may be allowed to a letter addressed to the Honorable Chairman, which I conferred and signed before coming here.
Oh, you wish to make a statement to the committee?
Yes, yes.
By reading your letter you addressed
Yes,
to
Your Honor.
Chairman Gingona. Yes,
Yes.
please. I think with the permission of the chair.
Honorable Chairman, this is the letter my addressed to you by my lawyers, signed by me. Your Honor, we write again on behalf of our client, Ms. Maia S. Deguito, who, through our earlier letter, undertook to heed the Honorable Senate's invitation to appear as a resource person in connection with the investigation of the issue on the alleged US 100 million US that was laundered in the Philippines. It may have already reached your attention from the news reports last night that the Anti-Money Laundering Council had already filed a criminal complaint for violations of the Anti-Money Laundering Act against Ms. Deguito and 4 others before the Department of Justice. The case is now docketed as AMLC with the 4 accounts and myself, NPS docket XVI INV 16C-00081, violation of Section 4 ARA 9160
before the Department of Justice.
before the Department of Justice. By this time, therefore, Ms. Deguito is already a person under investigation for the commission of an offense, hence fully entitled to constitutional rights to, among others, remain silent and against self-incrimination. While Ms. Deguito has no intention to disregard, much less offend the authority of this honorable committee, as she in fact intends to fully cooperate in its proceedings, she pleads for your indulgence if she may decline as the need arises to answer questions interposed in open session that may tend to impair her said constitutional rights. We wish to respectfully underscore that by this time, any statement she publicly makes, especially those under oath, shall be binding on her. Words may and will be used against her in said criminal proceedings. She, however, reiterates her intention to testify fully in an executive and confidential session in the best of her ability while protecting her aforementioned rights at the same time.
Mr. Chair.
With assurance of our continued high esteem. Very truly yours. Signed Ferdinand S. Topacio. Signed Joselito Ola Mangaya. Conforme. Signed Maia S. Deguito.
Mr. Senator Cayetano.
Mr. Chair, may I just clarify, ma'am? So basically what you're telling us is that if you testify now and it's on record, may transcript, and since you have a case, baka gamitin laban sa'yo.
Yes, sir.
But if it's an executive session, since we're not going to take records, you're willing to tell all.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, maybe at the proper time, we may consider after the senators have raised their questions, the other guests in this hall today.
We will decide that later on. That matter. We'll decide that matter later on.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
the
Minority Floor Leader.
witness is invoking her constitutional right of non-incrimination. So, why should we hear her in executive session? For what purpose? Just to know that something happened? We are supposed to investigate in aid of legislation. And these are public investigations. We are not investigating for anything else.
Okay,
Mr.
noted.
Chair, as a rejoinder.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the reason we want to hear her in, at least myself, Mr. Honorable Minority Leader, is that you cannot enact legislation, whether you repeal, amend, or stick to the law and just exercise our oversight, unless we get the facts straight. And there are times that a witness really does not want to testify in open, and it's up to our discretion whether to hear them in executive session. Number two, this is a very delicate matter because we do not want to damage any banking institution, nor the banking industry. So, if you hear their side, etc., the Senate might win, but the banking institutions might all lose, and the country will lose. So, I want to jump in and also ask Mr. Tan, our bank manager, about real questions about, as the two gentlemen, the two chair have been asking. But the reality is, it might set off a series of events that it's like a toothpaste. You cannot put the toothpaste back into the tube once na lumabas. But as I said, Mr. Chair, I'm willing to listen to everyone first and the questions, and with the permission of the minority leader, without making a decision that we will hear her, just to
I
consider.
just want to react to the majority floor leader. So, are you saying that we cannot craft a law unless we hear this girl? The experts are here to tell us what is the weakness of the law, isn't it? In fact, we took that up in the last amendment of this law, and I was proposing to exclude the casinos, but then my amendment was not accepted, and there was a proviso inserted to cover the casinos, which I proposed instead, with some safeguards, but it was taken out from the final law that was passed by Congress in the bicameral conference committee. So, what is left to craft now in order to cover a situation like this? So, but the thing is, we are depriving the public to know what's going on. They might suspect that we are covering up for anybody.
Mr. Chair,
Okay,
just on the
Senator
question,
Cayetano,
just on
yes.
the question of the minority leader, why is it necessary that we hear her? Can we not draft the law or change without it? The conclusion is based on a premise, and you have the wrong premise, you have the wrong conclusion, and we always deal with facts. And if you look at the law, what is a witness? A witness is someone who has personal knowledge and has observed something with their senses. So if it is the branch manager who dealt with these people who opened the account, who now are saying, except for one who's saying his signature is forged, everyone else is saying fictitious, she'll be in the best position to tell us how did this happen, and she'll be in the best position to tell us, was it a conspiracy? Was it a mistake? Is someone involved? That is why I want to hear her out. Now, we heard the military and the AFP and the PNP in executive session, but the public was well informed later on. Having said that, Mr. Chair, maybe later on we can discuss it, and I'm not making a motion yet, Sir. I'm just reacting to the letter of the bank manager and asking that we consider it later on.
I will just make a counter comment. What is the need for this investigation then? All we do is recess this and call her and hear her, if that is the purpose of that we want. Just hear the expert, the lady manager of the branch, in order to know the details of how it happened.
Okay, okay, noted, noted. We will just get to that point later.
The honorable people here to just...
How would you incriminate yourself by responding to a process question?
But there is a pending case.
Sir, there is a
If I
pending...
ask you if you carry a driver's license with you, would that be a violation of your rights?
As
Session resumed. Senator Osmeña.
Your Honor, as mentioned earlier, the AMLC has already filed a case against me. It has already a docket number, so I invoking my right to remain silent on that. Instead, if I may be allowed to a letter addressed to the Honorable...
Opening up accounts, does the branch manager initial the documents that are submitted by the new depositor?
Sir, I'm sorry, but I invoke my right to self-incrimination, but rather, may I request...
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me address some questions to Ms. Deguito. Ms. Deguito, there's some standard questions that we have for you. These are the processes of